Now, the Transport Workers Union, the Assistant Secretary of New South Wales, I've got a letter from Michael Aird and their Chief Legal Advisor here, and he's on the line to Hanson. G'day, Michael.
G'day, Ray. How are you?
Not bad. Can you just explain to me as a union representative, and I should point out that I'm a member of the 2WU, but why we've got this, for years and years and years, these sort of companies said, oh, we want contractors, we don't want employees, it's too much trouble, we've got loadings, we've got, penalty rates, we'll go with contractors, and now all of a sudden Hanson or the HeidelbergCement group's decided that's not the way to go?
Yeah, I mean, companies do change their views about, whether to have an owner-driver fleet or an employee fleet. I mean, our position is that you need to treat people fairly and reasonably and with some respect and dignity, and to sack 130 people 2 o'clock on a Friday before the long weekend is just an outrageous situation.
So what have you done today, Michael? You've got there earlier this morning and you said, ease up, this is what we'll do.
Yeah, well, we wrote Mr. Stoneman on Friday afternoon and filed for injunctive relief in the New South Wales Industrial Relations Commission on a Friday afternoon as well. Yeah. We asked for Mr. Stoneman to hold off to at least enable discussions to occur. He refused to do that. He wrote to me late last night and refused to do that. But we attended the site this morning and forced his hand a little bit, and he's at least allowed the status quo to continue while discussions could take place. But I mean, it took a long time for him to get to that position. He wasn't doing that on Friday afternoon. I mean, those tactics we say are disgraceful. I mean, this is one of the largest companies in the world. It's one of the largest construction companies in the world. It's a corporate giant. It's making the issue we have raised, and we've asked for some indication about their profitability, is that they're at the highest meterage. That is, the owner drivers are going gangbusters in New South Wales. They can't basically work any more than what they are. So they've got very strong market share. They're doing massive meterage. We've asked them for some information on profitability. I mean, it just seems to be that what's driving this is nothing more than pure greed.
Well, you pointed out about the termination of contracts, and there's one young bloke you heard while you were on air, you were waiting to come on air, who's taken the 66 grand, and you feel so sorry for the poor fella. I mean, he's got little equity there in his home. He's worried about losing that. Dad's stumped up and helped him, as many dads do when it comes to young blokes trying to make a go of it and working hard. And he's basically been forced into the situation where he takes the 66 grand plus GST and walks, and then worries about what he does to try and dissolve the debt, which is 150 grand or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, these are the ultimate small businesses. These are 130 small businesses across New South Wales that Hanson's are shutting down. I mean, many of the people who work for them, you call it David, and I congratulate Mary and David for their courage in speaking out, but many of the owner-drivers who work for Hanson's have been there for decades. Some that have been working for, it used to be the old Pioneer, people remember the Pioneer trucks. Have been working there for over 40 years. But
what I don't understand, that young bloke only came in 2 years ago. Now, the company knew that he was buying a truck off someone else, and they knew he was buying, even though they don't qualify it, as goodwill, for an ongoing contract. Then 2 years into it, they pull the pin on the poor bugger.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, we hadn't even had a final position from Hanson's to take back to them to even talk about.
Have you heard this mail I've got about this middle management, that they're too highly geared in that area? They've got all these people. I'm not referring to Charlie Stoneman. He's the one that I know because his name's on the letter here, the regional logistics manager. But it seems to me they're over-geared with all these middle management types, 30-odd-year-olds, with little experience in the building industry, who are basically accountants, who are saying, well, we want to get more money out of this, and I guess they're on bonuses and the like. So what we'll do is we'll tear up the contracts of these men and sacrifice them and get a bigger quid for ourselves.
And you heard the frustration from David, who was saying that, they're sending people to the wrong areas. A lot of it's really basic stuff that if they listen to the input from the small business owners, the owner-drivers who work for them about how to make a buck, they can actually help them run the business. But I've got some more news for you, Ray, about how disgraceful Hanson's is. They put in an application last year seeking 170 positions, including truck drivers, on 457 visas.
What?
So this is a company that is sacking 130 small businesses across Australia and seeking permission from the federal government to bring in 170 people. The positions include concrete batching, weighbridge operators, truck drivers, tanker drivers. So they're seeking permission to bring in foreign labour.
Well, so we've got blokes driving trucks, and you're telling me they've made application to the federal government to replace these blokes with 457 visa holders, from Germany?
I'm not saying to replace these blokes. I don't know where they're seeking to place them. I'm saying they have got an application in for 170 positions to include truck drivers.
Well, you don't have to be a genius. If you're sacking 130 and you've got a 457 application in for 170, you know where the drivers are coming from then.
Yes, you could draw that conclusion, but I mean, we're saying at the moment that it's outrageous that they're seeking 170 positions when they, haven't adequately seeked to source positions locally, and obviously they've got 130 small businesses that have been looking after them for decades. Okay. That should be put in.
Well, it's gone to the Industrial Relations Commission. When do you get a hearing?
We're waiting for a listing, but given the urgency of it, I'd expect sometime this afternoon, certainly no later than tomorrow.
And will part of your legal challenge to the Industrial Relations Commission, are you able to introduce the 457 visas?
Certainly we'll be raising that question. We'll be raising the questions about the profitability, but most of all we're just raising about how about giving people a fair go. About how about we sit down and...
Well, maybe the Heidelberg Construction Company or the HeidelbergCement Company don't know too much about a fair go. They're in Australia now. They should understand a fair go.
Absolutely.
All right, mate. Keep in contact with me, will you?
Thanks, Ray.
Michael Aird, the Assistant Secretary and Chief Legal Advisor of the Transport Workers Union.